So as you guys all start to trickle in, my name is Kira. I'm a bookseller at Belmont Books, and I would like to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We very much appreciate your support. If you're unaware, we are a local indie of a Boston suburb, and we ship all over the United States. And we now offer in-store browsing on Sundays included, so we're open 7 days a week now. And if you're not comfortable roaming the stores, we do offer contactless curbside pickup. Like many other stores and businesses in this moment, we are experiencing a shortage with books, so please be sure to buy your books soon as the holiday season does approach. And I'm going to post the links for this event in particular and also Belmont Books events, so you can follow us for future events and see what's coming up with us. And for your awareness, this video is being recorded, so you can watch anything that you'd missed or like to rewatch on our YouTube channel, which can be found at Belmont Books on YouTube. And tonight, I'll be back later for a Q&A. And if you guys would like to ask any questions, there is a Q&A bubble at the bottom of the screen where you can type in your questions, and I'll be sure to make sure they are asked at the end of the interview between Alison and Andrew. So I'm going to leave it to them to take it away, and I'll be back later. Thanks.
Thank you. I can't see anybody.
You won't. If you click
that's it.
attendees, you'll see the people that are there.
Oh, cool.
On the list.
Hello, my darlings. If there's anybody here who doesn't know us already, you're also my darling for being here. We are so excited, and it wasn't hard to stay up this late to be with you here at Belmont Books. As I thought about this meeting with you, it did make me really excited because we are launching a book that we collaborated on, that we did together. This is our baby, and it's set in the United States, and I'm sitting here in my kitchen in England, wishing we could all be together. I think some of you may have known when I started this book, but it's not one that I've talked about a lot. I started it in 1995, 1996. That was the first draft. I think I finished in 1996. And, but I had Kiri, and then I had Linus, and I had to take care of them. I had to make money. I moved to Singapore. I started writing short stories. I picked it up again, 2001, I think. Then again, 2005, 2006, 2013, basically every 5 or 6 years, I would pick it up. And by then I would have, something else would have happened in my life. I think that then made me look at it slightly differently. And eventually, I think it was Andy who said to me, I've heard about this manuscript. What is it? Let me read it. And he liked it, to the extent that when we talked about what I was going to do next or what I was thinking about, he would ask me about it. But as you know, I was working on other books. I was thinking about other things. But in this period of space, really, I had produced this book last year. Many of you also know this, and it was the lovely Belmont Books that launched this book for me last year. This was a self-published endeavor, also Bench Press. And it was such a different feeling to have had a really, really clear vision of a book and achieve it. Really, the way that I saw it, the way that I felt it myself, the people that I wanted to do it with. So when we were still struggling with this pandemic, and also struggling in the publishing world, not only with a glut of a backlog of books that couldn't come out because everybody had to stay at home, then books that had suddenly been written by people who might not have written before and had written great books that then were being part of the submission process. But now we also have a a lack of, at least in Britain, a lack of drivers, bringing the books to launches, bringing the books from the printers around the country. If you're doing a big print run, things really slowed down. And you know me, I'm not patient. So we decided that we would bring Glide out, that it was something that I hadn't submitted to publishers lately, and that it could be fun. So, and it has been terrifically fun. Again, it's something where it was not just my vision, it was a shared vision, and we have achieved it. And it's so much better than waiting. So much better than waiting. With the kind of people that we have found and met and sought out in order to help us over the years with my writing, with Andy's art, we're able to do this ourselves now. So I would like to read you a bit of Glide, basically the first section of the first chapter, to try and intrigue you into the book. But also I want to underline that even though I've written probably 5 drafts of this book, maybe 6, and it's changed and characters have come and gone and dramatic instances have come and gone and come back and gone again, the basic concept of a stranger coming to the door has not changed at all. The very, very beginning of the book has not changed at all. And that was an idea that came to me in that strange half-waking state. And I don't remember right now if I was falling asleep or waking up, but I do remember a very powerful moment in my brain where somebody came to somebody's door. I knew the house. It was the house I grew up in Bridgewater, but I didn't know either of the people. And I had to develop this story. So the first part of the first chapter of Glide. It's in the voice of Leo, who is a 30-something teacher of photography at Bridgewater State College in 1991. I'm standing alone in the kitchen trying to pour chocolate batter into a cake pan without getting any on the counter. I'm also trying to think of a way into a conversation with my wife about children. It's still a few hours before I need to pick her up from the airport, so I can keep chipping away at the problem for a while. Liv doesn't want children. We've been together since 1986, over 5 years, and we've almost never fought. But we've thought about that. It's not that I want them so badly. I just want to know why she doesn't want them, and she won't tell me. The sound of feet on the back steps drags me back into the room, and I wonder why there is no knock. I go to the door and open it. The man I see through the glass of the storm door is athletic, very gently balding, with shiny gold curls behind his ears, and he is lighting the candles on a chocolate cake of his own, although his is clearly professionally made. The November day is cold and flat, so the flames don't waver much. He looks up at me and goes back down 2 steps so I can open the storm door and lean my head out. Can I help you? Where is she? He asks, smiling as if we share a happy secret. She who? Liv. I look at my watch. She's flying back from Norway. It's still a while before she lands. Who are you? Morten, he shouts. Again, the impression of some assumed shared knowledge, some wonderful surprise. I'm supposed to shout, Morten, good God, man, come on in. Morten, he repeats, Liv's half-brother, Morten. And you must be Leo. Yes, I say, well, that's strange. Look, he says, can I just come in and put out these candles? Puddles of pink and blue wax are forming in the frosting. Of course, there's nothing stopping him from putting out his candles right there on the step, but this reminds me to put my own cake in to bake, so I let the stranger into the house. I straighten up from the cold oven, feeling stupid. I forgot to preheat it. It's not worth turning it on now that there's already a great-looking chocolate cake on the table. The man straightens up from blowing out his candles, and we turn to face each other. Something about his large frame, his straight nose, and his obviously expensive corduroy trousers puts me on alert. I don't recognize his type right away. I can't read anything in him but his charismatic momentum. My own body language, on the other hand, my tendency to lean forward rather than back when preparing a question, tells him everything he needs to know about my fundamental aim to please. The candles on his rich cake smolder. I say, and then take the leap. Why didn't I know Liv had a brother? He opens his large hands. As you can imagine, he says, lifting his impressive shoulders in a gesture intended to convince me of the reasonable, affable heritage he shares with my wife. I am as interested in you as you in the answer to that question. He expects me to laugh, but I don't. I smile, though, and I nod. I raise my elbows and plant my palms on the hard edge of the counter behind me. My kitchen counter. My kitchen. My wife. His sister? May I sit? He asks, and I wave a hand with what I hope is just the right blend of hospitality and suspicion. He nods his thanks and pulls a chair into position by the kitchen table. He rests his left arm on the table. The other is free to gesticulate. He waves it to announce an abstract concept. Brothers and sisters, he begins, we never say hello. Am I right? I'm an only child, I say. I see, yes. Well, brothers and sisters, we spend long moments, years, in plain view of each other, but out of earshot, until we finally truly encounter each other. And then, of course, hello is foolish. His face is calm, confident, settled. I'm still waiting for the ball to land on a roulette wheel of appropriate attitudes. What he's saying sounds like bullshit, but I need to hear more to be sure. His Norwegian accent is obvious, but not heavy. I've always been impressed by Norwegians' command of vocabulary, earshot. He continues. And of course, we do not expect to say goodbye, not until death anyway. And even then, we generally do not have the chance. We die in obscurity, having traveled beyond each other. He looks wistful and also pleased. He extends his left hand to toy with the wick of a candle, then considers the black residue on his thumb and finger before rubbing his fingers together. 5 seconds of silence, which don't appear to make him uncomfortable. So, I suggest, leaning forward. I put my hands in my jeans pockets. So, he says, snapping back with renewed vigor. So, Liv and I met abruptly. Therefore, we had to say hello. Simply put, it is this. We have the same father, not mother. It was supposed to be a secret, but we found out. We disagreed about our father. We parted in pain. The whole episode, the hello and the goodbye, was an enormous shock to me, to us both. It has been 12 years today. I thought I'd check in. 12 years? Yes. So how, he distracts me from asking how he knows my name by asking, when did you say she'd be back? I didn't say. I look at my watch. It's time for me to find out if the plane is on time. I say, let me call the airline. Morton looks around the room while he waits. He's clearly assessing the kitchen, which means he's assessing me, us. I turn my back to him when I finally have someone to speak to. When I hang up, I turn back around and tell him, the plane is about an hour late. I don't have to leave for the airport as soon as I thought. Hands on hips, I stare at the linoleum. I want to be alone. I have a confession about children to construct, a secret to reveal to Liv. I need to get it right in my head. Strangely, though, I also want this visitor to go on talking. I want to understand who he is, but that's not all. He's intelligent, quick, entertaining, the sort of philosopher athlete that isn't as common in the States as it is in Northern Europe and Scandinavia. Guys like him intimidate American men like me. We want them to like us. Eyebrows up to indicate a general willingness, lips slightly pursed to show concern. He makes it clear that the next move is mine. Coffee, I say. So I hope that intrigues you as to what might be happening with these people and when Leo might find out what's really going on. I actually had a memory while reading this to you, that I had to put in the parking lot for a second. Obviously, you know, we don't call the airline anymore to see if a plane is late. We don't ever call the airline anymore, really. And it was actually in Norway. It was in Norway. I was invited to the wedding of a friend from college in Norway. And it was there when I called the airline from Bergen to see if my plane was on time. And the man said to me, you know, you don't have to call anymore. So I put that in. He has to call. No, you have to call. So over to Andy for a bit of a discussion about the fact that there's art in this book for you to enjoy as you go through.
Yeah, so I guess the question is, it's a little unusual, right? A novel, but with pictures, with art. It's certainly not the norm. And how that came about for us was a couple of things, really, I think. I mean, one, obviously, we have the idea already that Leo is a photographer. So there's something there. Another thing that happened to us during lockdown, many things happened, but one of the lockdown things is that we were reading a book, actually spending some evenings reading a book to each other, take a chapter each a night or something like that. We were reading Philip Pullman's Book of Dust, no doubt available at Belmont Books. And in this, the chapters are headed by lovely little woodcuts, and we really like them. They're there at the beginning of every chapter, and it just got us thinking, could we put a photograph, right? Leo's a photographer, could we put a photograph there? But something about that just practically didn't seem to work for me. As a photographer, there's probably a little too much detail. It's going to be hard to see if it's that small. Won't have the impact that we want it to have. So because you often get, not always, but you often get a blank page before the next chapter, we thought, yeah, let's just make that happen so that we have, in effect, a gallery wall before each chapter that we could use for photographs. The other thing that conspired to make this happen because of lockdown was that because of lockdown, I, probably like a lot of people, was spending a lot of time going through stuff in the house. And for me, that was going through all my photographs. I decided that I was going to put together an album, not an album, sorry, but a book of photographs from Singapore. So as a photographer, I'd done quite a few exhibitions. I have various collections of work. But if anybody out there is a photographer, you'll know you'll have the photographs for particular reasons, and then you'll have all the other photographs that don't get selected or that don't quite fit with what you're planning. So I had many, many thousands of photographs, and I'd been spending time going through those photographs. And when we said, you know, we could do this and we could put photographs, I already had in my head a lot of potential images. There were changes that would need to be made because most of my photography is in color, and obviously in a book like this it would have to be in black and white, but that also suited us because Leo was a photographer and photographed mainly in black and white. So there's quite a bit there that got us connecting with the idea of putting photographs in. And I will now show you a little presentation that gives you an idea of how we got to some of that. Okay. So I'm pretty sure you can all see that. first thing for us really was choosing a cover. And that was really where I got the first inspiration. There was one image that came to mind that I just thought, you know, knowing what I know about the book, having read it several times, I think this will work. It feels right. It's not, none of the images in here are literal. So, and I'll tell you a little bit about how that came about in a while, but this image popped into my head. But of course, at the time, it looked like this. You'll see the ice here, you'll see some chains. And there's something about that that spoke to me about the book. Not that there's necessarily ice and chains in the book. There will be a bit of ice because it's getting to that time of year, but it just represented something there for me. So I made that black and white, and that was my first hit out at a cover, which I'm happy to say Alison was happy with. Right, Alison?
I was over the moon. It was amazing. I thought you knocked it out of the park. And so as you can see, that's the photo on the cover. We haven't shifted it an inch. It was just playing with the words.
Yeah, allowed us to do that. And then it was a process of finding other images that I thought might work. But of course, again, you know, everything's color, so it's got to be black and white. So this image became this image in the book. Using quite a lot of high contrast as well in these so that they would stand out on the page. And at this point, I was looking for an image that represented wet tarmac. And this image was one that I knew, yes, I can use that, but the lettering in here would have made it quite specific, quite particular, and would probably have drawn too much attention. And because we had the opportunity to do whatever we wanted to with this book, it allowed me to also be creative with how I used the images that I had. So it wasn't necessarily what I had photographed the first time when I took that photograph. It was, how can I use this and create something new with it for the book? So this one ended up like that, where I actually took a section of the image and repeated it 3 times, but all slightly shifted. So we had a lot of fun with that, and many prototypes. You'll see there many versions of the cover, and we had a little book. In fact, this is very small now, but you'll see me, but this is the one we used. We actually used one of Alison's previous books, made a nice cover for it, and then I would slot in images that I thought were connecting. And in the middle of that picture there, you will see one white piece of paper with writing on it. And that was our, I say mood board's not the right word, but I asked Alison to go through the novel and pick out for each chapter key feelings, important moments, objects even that resonated with her for a feeling for that part of the book. And then I also did the same, compiled that into a document so that for each chapter we had some key ideas, and then I would look for images that connected with that in some way for me. So none of them are literal. They take a step through what we felt in the book was important there, and maybe then another step away by what connected tangentially, very probably. And slotting them into the book. Then I was experimenting with image sizes. So we might have the same image in 2 or 3 times, but at different sizes or different crops, different layout on the page, different backgrounds sometimes. Many of them are full page, but a lot also sit within the page, maybe with a white background or a black background. So it allowed me to be quite creative with that, and we enjoyed it, right? I mean, we had a lot of fun sharing. I'd be running up and down the stairs here going, all right, have a look at the book, I've done another one, and you know, get some feedback and see if Alison thought the same way about it that I did. And you know, in the end, we got to our 24 images, which I will show you, but we're going to pause at the first one, so Alison can read you another little bit of the book to give you an idea of how we went about choosing things and maybe what was significant. So this is from chapter 2, right, Alison?
That's right. So a photograph precedes each chapter. So for chapter 2, I'm going to read you a bit that may have been what I what I highlighted. It may have been what Andy pulled from the chapter when he was looking at it, and then went away and developed that photograph. Down in the basement, bathed in the hellish red light of my darkroom, I hang dripping photos, scrutinizing the images as I dry my hands. The dripping slows. I stop at one. Liv, an expression of loving surprise on her face. Soft smile, cheekbones, short hair. My eyes roam her face. Black and white photos of people with light blue eyes are even more arresting than color. Hers are alien eyes. They're not really even blue, like the ocean isn't, and the sky.
Yeah, and that's what led us to the image in chapter 2. So I'm going to go through the rest of these without saying really much about them. But I'll pause for a moment to give you an opportunity to have a little look, absorb, and then just finish off by telling you a little bit more about where they came from. Okay, so yeah, I think the only other thing to point out is that, you know, as Alison was writing this book over many, many years, these photographs came from all periods, well, not quite all periods of my life, but certainly a broad spread and from a lot of different locations. So although the book is set in Massachusetts, there are some images in there from Massachusetts, and maybe you can guess which ones they are. But they come from far and wide. They're from Malaysia, from Japan, from France, from New York, from China, Singapore, Hong Kong, and back here in the UK, Worcestershire as well. So really from all over. Back over to you, Alison.
Thank you. It was really interesting looking at those again, even earlier this evening when we did this, we did one of these talks at our local library this evening, and we had the images all up on the wall, and I don't get bored of them. I mean, we have them here in the house, but there's something about those photographs, about Andy's photography in general, but those photographs, I think in particular, where the question is always, what is going on here? And it's harder to tell in black and white than it is in color. And that is, I think, why I write. You know, I think I'm just trying to say, that's the question. Generally, you know, day to day in life. And that's what in writing, I'm working on that. And in this experience, not just writing. So really working hard editing, and then we've made it entirely our experience this time. For Absolutely Delicious, I hired a wonderful book designer. In this case, it's a less complicated book. Andy was able to design it. And had learned so many skills that we both feel like it'll be even easier next time, because there will be a next time. Having now twice had a vision for a book and achieved the vision for the book, it's a wonderful feeling. You don't want to give that up. And but it means that we are also production and marketing and bookkeeping and all of that, social media, a go-go. That's not my favorite part, but check out this moment that we're having. It's completely generated by, you know, Belmont Books. I only know Belmont Books because it's my brother's favorite bookstore. You know, it's all about who we love and the places we love. And I'm tickled silly. We've been able to do this because at this moment in time, if any of you are thinking about self-publishing, the quality of what you can create, the physical quality of what you can create in a book is wonderful. And it doesn't have to be that expensive. It's just time. It's just energy and time. And it's really, really fun when you do it with the people that you love. And knowing that people who love you are cheering for you, it's really, really wonderful. So nobody can tell us we can't do it the way we're doing it. And we just keep encouraging ourselves, reminding ourselves that we're so gray in the hair and long in the tooth that we really deserve to be able to vote for ourselves and say, and white of the beard, that we know where to get good advice, and then feel really proud to put out something that says, here is what we do, and here is what we can do to the best of our ability. And we really hope you like it. That's my speech. Mm-hmm. So if people want to, we'd really love to engage with you by, if this has brought up any questions for you, or if you have any questions for writers in general that we could, or photographers in general, we'd love to talk to you about anything you want to talk about.
I believe is the Q&A
bubble,
right?
Or you don't. I mean, you can go and have your dinner, is all I'm saying, like whatever you want to do. No. But we
love questions.
Oh, there's something in the chat. Oh no, that's you.
Sorry, I just sent the
yeah. I got you. Or comments.
Oh, Christopher Helm wants to know, what were the toughest challenges that you faced?
For me, I mean, going back all the way to 1995, 96, the toughest challenge was when I went all bright-faced with the manuscript to an agent or an editor and they didn't like it. That's always the hardest. I think that's for me the biggest challenge in writing is it always is going to make sense to me, and being able to find the people that I want to hear that it doesn't make sense from, you know, that you can't, no matter there, even this version of it may not make sense to somebody, right? So that is the biggest challenge in terms of the self-publishing. The math, probably, like, I hate the math. What about you, Andy?
Yeah, the hardest thing. It's, yeah, neither of us are great with admin. So I think all of the admin stuff is just like, okay, this has to be done, and now I have to do it on 7 platforms.
Right.
You know, it's got to be done for here and here and here and here and here. That, keeping that consistency, we'd much rather be creative with it, but you can't be creative with the admin. So yeah, I'd say that's probably it.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, he would also like to know, how about once you decided to do it this way?
Mm-hmm. Then it got easier, I would say, because the alternative was to keep waiting and keep wondering if people who received my writing read it, like it. You do get, not all the editors that you send your manuscripts to, even via an agent, write back. So there's a lot of waiting there, wondering how long you're going to wait. The ones who do write back, if they don't take your work, they might be very encouraging, which is great, but it just means they're encouraging you to send something else in, which means a lot of time and then waiting to see if they like that one. So this was much more pleasant, and to have an in-house designer, like literally in-house, with a lot of creative ideas and a lot of ability to see the potential. No, it wasn't hard. It truly is the admin. But that's better than waiting, sadly, to see if you rate, you know.
Great. Well, Helen Pelletier would like to know, how will the book get distributed aside from Belmont Books, by website, other bookstores, etc.?
Yes. So
Belmont Books.
Yeah,
all the way.
Definitely Belmont Books. You know, order from Belmont Books. They're very good at delivering books. So the book, because we have one of the platforms that we use to self-publish it is called Ingram Spark. It's the self-publishing arm of Ingram, a big printer distributor. And they have printers in the States and in Britain and also Australia. So you should be able to go into any bookstore and order it. That is how it works. Also bookshop.org, as a result, should have it. They don't at the moment. And you know, I'm chasing them about that, but anyway, bookstores, yes.
Also ebooks as well. So any ebook platform.
That's right. Yeah. So and Amazon if you must.
Yeah, and there was an associated question, but I think it's gone. Joyce was asking, are you printing by demand, or have you printed a run of copies?
The answer is yes.
Kind of connected.
That's right. We've done both. So print on demand via Amazon and excuse me, and the Ingram. So if a bookstore orders it, it will get printed for you. But we have done a print run for us here in England, so that people in England can buy it from a signed copy from me. If you want a signed copy, we can send you one, but it's about
No, you signed
Oh,
a
at
book
Belmont
plates.
Books, at
At
Belmont Books, I
You
signed
can get a signed
stickers.
copy.
I did, right. But after you bought your copy from Belmont Books with a sticker from me, if you want another, I could send you a sticker. But yeah, for England, we've done a print run. And that, I think, also with the admin, it makes it easier for us to know how many we've sold from that way,
Mm.
if we remember to count them. Yeah.
Right, so lastly, Celia Pearson would like to know how much of a difference in cost does it make to include photographs?
Yeah. Celia is a photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So none at all. How's that? That's a great thing. As long as they're black and white and you're not worried about the paper. So if it can be printed on a normal paperback paper, which is, a lot of the decision I had to make in how are these images going to look, really using contrast effectively so that I know the image would still work on the page. But actually, we've been really impressed with the quality of the print. Surprised. We were both really surprised. So we're delighted with that, and it didn't cost any more. Great reason to not do color, which costs an absolute fortune.
Yeah.
Well, a few more questions actually just popped up.
Great.
So Andre would like to know, was it difficult to spend so many years pick up the book and then put it back down? And did you ever want to move on to other projects and not pick it up again?
Thank you, Andre. I truly kind of forgot about it in between. That was the thing. Like it wouldn't let me go completely, which is why it kept popping back up. But in between, I was so busy. Now that it's published, my mind is racing ahead. Now that I'm happy with how it is, I can move on. But go ahead.
No, I was going to say, but I remember I also, having read it, had to keep like waving my little glide flag and go, hello, don't forget this one. Because you were onto another project.
Yeah.
Right. And when we published this and we were talking about publishing that, I would keep going, and glide.
Right. You did. That's right. Yeah, that's true. If I still lived alone, I don't know what I would have done. I didn't have as much confidence in it, I think. And to have a fan club was really helpful. Yeah. It hasn't been an obsession, but it's been really interesting. Really, really interesting. Yeah. Good question.
So Bernie and Ria ask, they first say congratulations, and they wonder if you plan to do an audiobook, and if so, how might the images be handled?
Oh, yeah. That's such a good question. I haven't, it would be interesting to take a vote somehow. I haven't considered doing an audiobook, reading it myself, because 3 of the 5 characters in the book are Norwegian. And it would be really cool if somebody who could do a book in the perspective of an American man and do the Norwegian accents would be really amazing. So if we could find an actor to do that. But if people would tolerate me reading it without being able to do the accents, I'd happily do it. I did an audiobook for this one, and which does have wonderful illustrations in it. And we didn't, there's my mom wrapped in a blanket. We didn't concern ourselves with the pictures because we figured I just wanted to give people this message and share my experience. In this case, because it's really an artistic collaboration, I don't know. I really don't know. But I think the cover does such a good job of representing what the rest of the images do. Perhaps. I don't know. Let me think about that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one to think about.
But if you would like to hear me continue reading the entire book, I'll seriously think about that. But I hadn't really considered doing it.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, the other option with the images is just to make them available online, which they will be shortly, also for purchase. So something we've been doing at the live events here is we have images available, but I'm about to sort of launch that on my website, although it doesn't integrate them with the book at that point. So I think that's the challenge, is how do you keep it integrated? And I'm not sure I would know exactly what to do about that. But there might be, for the next book, a playlist, and we'll say no more.
It's interesting because Chris Helm put in the comments just now, you could do it as an interactive thing, and you could have links to the images. And I think about that a lot, given what we can do these days. It would be really great. Maybe in the next, we could have
I don't want to
QR
be
code. You can have QR codes in a book. You know, you could have ways to, we'll fool around with that, definitely, because again, we can do whatever we think of and have fun with it.
Yeah, I don't want to be responsible for any car crashes, though.
That's true. You don't want people to find a link when they're reading to something.
When they're listening, yeah.
Yeah, listening to something.
Okay, well, Eric Gerhardt would like to comment. Congratulations. He very much enjoyed his first Zoom book tour and very much looks forward to adding his cup of coffee to continue the read. And he's very drawn to your images. They're beautiful and well done.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. That's from a cameraman, so that's really great. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we do have another comment that says, once again, you have helped to complete holiday shopping with meaningful and substantive reading material. Beyond that, you provide inspiration to continue living lives of constant pilgrimage. Quote, you live lives in a very fast-paced, outwardly focused, materially minded world, and it helps to focus on topics that bring us to a sense of meaning and purpose that is as important to our well-being as is food, shelter, and our genetic desires to find sense and meaning and purpose in our lives.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. That's so meaningful to me. And it's really special to be able to bring something out at this time of year and to connect with you at this time of year. I'm not going to be in the United States at Thanksgiving, but I'm really giving thanks. The book takes place between Thanksgiving and Christmas, but I won't be there. And that's very meaningful to me. Thank you. Amazing.
Wonderful. That was Tom
Zarl. Very deep man. One thing I want to tell you, I think I haven't shared our wonderful news, which is that next summer we will be doing a what? Don't say.
No, keep that secret for the time.
Oh, it's oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Next summer we'll be right here.
No.
Well, we're very much looking forward to finding out what next summer will be.
Yeah.
Well, I'd just like to remind everyone, I've sent the links to Belmont Books events in the chat again, as well as the link to this specific event where you can purchase a copy of Alison and Andrew's new book, Glide. And we very much appreciate everybody's support here with us tonight. And Alison and Andrew, we very much appreciate your willingness to offer your insight to your novel. It was absolutely a privilege and inspiring, and we really hope to see you again soon. And congratulations on your US launch.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for letting us do it with you.
Yeah, great.
Come back anytime.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Time for bed. Bye.